Savannah's lunge lesson, and we're going to ask her to be targeting the cones on a circle. So my question I have with the target training on a circle, asking the horse to bring its head down, is what is the time that I have between the click and the reward to give her the food? Is there a max amount of time that I have between when I click and have time to get her? Because being a young horse and being her second session she's tried this, she sometimes doesn't stop immediately. Do I bring her in to give her the food, or how do I approach that? And then also, if she doesn't target on the cone and walks past it, do I bring her back to the same cone, or do I just keep trying to point to the next cone, and then wait for her to get it right one of the rounds? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Robin, for your lovely video all the way from Joburg and sunny South Africa. Good quality questions get good quality answers. I think what is really important to understand is that there's a chain of events that basically is set off by your cue. So your cue, in this instance, let's say when you're working with your horse over the stable door, over the fence, you're holding a cone out towards the horse and your horse touches the cone. As it touches the cone, we make the tsk sound. But the tsk sound on its own has no real meaning unless we connect that sound with something that is pleasant, which in this instance is food. So the important thing is that the sound has to happen as your horse performs the desired behavior. So I think that is very, very important to understand. Then, if your horse is standing close to you, obviously, if you click as your horse touches the cone, you want to take food out of your bag, not before. Only after you've made the tsk noise do you want to take the food out and then reward your horse. So in your horse's mind, it makes a very positive connotation with the sound, but it ultimately has to perform a certain action first in order to train you to make the noise, and in order to you then take the food out and to reward the horse. So your horse starts seeing the sequence of events. And ultimately, on a young horse, day one, you want to stand really close so that the action and the consequence correlation is immediate. So as you make the noise, the food comes as soon as possible afterwards. But definitely don't stand with the food in your hand and try and go and feed like this, because I think that's overdoing it. You have time, and most horses are quite clever, so they definitely make the association between the noise and the food. As you progress, you can then afford to stand a little bit further away. So let's say, for instance, we're measuring it not necessarily in distance, but just in time. Initially, as you make the tsk noise, within a second to 2 seconds, you're going to be giving your horse the food in the beginning. As you progress, eventually it's going to take 3 to 4 seconds and maybe 4 to 5 seconds. So if your horse, in terms of distance, is out on a circle and you're training it to do long and low, for instance, it's going to take your horse about 2 to 5 seconds to come to a standstill, turn and come to you and fetch its reward. So that's really up to your horse. So there's no real time limit. Obviously, if you start stretching it too far, and I think if you go beyond 5 to 10 seconds after you've clicked, and the horse still hasn't stopped to come and fetch the reward, the association in your horse's mind is still not there. So for me, a very good way to test whether your horse understands what the tsk sound means and that it's associated with something really positive, and in this instance very positive, the food, it will stop by itself, turn and come to you. So my way that I test whether the horse understands the sound or not is to send it out on a circle and to make the tsk noise And if the horse stops and turns and comes in immediately, then I know that the horse knows what it means. If it doesn't come in straight away, there's no problem. Then I would suggest you go back to targeting over the stable door or over the fence, or when you ask the horse to do long and low, like in one of your previous videos, that you just point down, but you're standing right close to your horse. So as you point down and the horse stretches forward down and tries to touch the cone, you make the tsk noise. Ultimately, your horse then picks up their head and then you give it a reward. So that would take about, let's say, 2 seconds. So it's really about just gauging whether yours responds in a very positive way when it hears the noise, and if it doesn't respond appropriately and it doesn't stop and it doesn't come and ask for the food, obviously it hasn't made the connection yet between the TSK sound and the reward yet, and then you just go back a step and you just re-establish that. I trust that this has been a useful answer. I'm really looking forward to your next video, and you must have a fantastic day.